Hey guys, what's up? It's Alec Torelli. Welcome to my YouTube channel. If you're new to this channel, hit that like and subscribe button. Be sure to turn on notifications. That lets me know I'm producing content that you like, and you'll be sure to catch all of our next videos and you won't miss them. That said, let's jump into today's video. This comes from inspired by a experience I had in Central Park, New York City, where I'm walking on the middle of the day. I'm walking around with my wife, and we see these street performers, okay? And they are doing this whole crazy dance in the middle of Central Park, and there's a huge crowd around them, and they got microphones, and they are incredibly athletic. They're doing amazing stunts. They're like breakdancing, and they're jumping around, and they're like flipping, and they're dancing to music. They're making funny jokes. So we stop and watch the festivities, right? So we're sitting there, like, we come in, I think, midway through the show. We're sitting there like 5-10 minutes. It's great. We're enjoying it. We're laughing. We're having a good time. And so then they ask for volunteers from the crowd, and they call out, like they're making some jokes. There's these African-American guys, and they're clearly asking for middle-aged white men, and they're making some like jokes about it, and it's funny. And so they're like, okay, we want all the white guys now. We heard that white guys can dance. And so they're like, pulling them out, and they're going to like have them do some show all together, apparently. So they get like literally 20 white males that are now in the middle of the show, right? And so the guys are around them, and they're all lined up in a straight line. And so they're kind of like, they're saying things like, oh, well, if you're not careful, you're not, we're not gonna be safe in the final performance or whatever. So they're implying that they're gonna like jump over them, or that like you guys got to be careful, and like making some funny jokes about this whole thing. So they're building up all this curiosity about what is going to happen in this final stunt. And so they're talking about this, and they're doing a great job of talking it up, much better than I am. And before they do it, though, they're like, wait, guys, one more thing. We've found that if we just do this final stunt, you guys are all going to leave, and this is how, we support our families, so we'd like to ask for a donation now. And I thought this was a very, observant sort of thing to do. It's clear that they have done this before. They said they've been doing it 10 years, and I thought it was smart from like an ROI standpoint to ask for a donation before they did the final stunt, because they have the people's attention, right? So they have everyone's attention, and the people are more likely to stay and watch this final stunt. And then psychologically, they're also more likely to be like, okay, well, they're asking for a donation. I want to stay and watch what's going to happen. I feel a little bit more compelled to donate. So I thought this was a very smart, appropriate move. And it was clear that they had sort of like tested this, right? Like you would test a marketing campaign. They tested it where the conversion of the donation was the highest, and they probably figured out asking while there was still content left for them to show yielded a higher result. This was smart, totally fair, acceptable thing to do. We donated money. It was a great idea, and we stayed. Then they started doing this thing where they did like a second round of donations. Okay, so that was like a little bit like, in case we missed someone. But then during this time where they were like doing this first round of donations, it lasted a little bit longer than I thought it should have. It kind of lasted a little while. And then they started doing this thing where they like asked people, like they started highlighting people that donated a large amount of money, right? So if someone donated, and they kind of were like made some jokes about this, like we liked 20s and 50s and 100s, and like kind of just made like a few jokes about like how they wanted large donations. So they kind of started to borderline on getting a little bit over the top. And they started calling out people that donated $20. They said like, where are you from? Oh, this person donated $20. And so the tonality of the situation shifted from this like fun, lively event to quickly becoming very much about how much you donated, and if you donated a certain amount, and that threshold became $20 because they started only highlighting people that donated 20. And then ironically, people wanted to like fit in and get, significance and get acknowledged for their donation. So more people started donating $20. So then they started to like take this long roundabout way of getting donations where they started highlighting everyone that donated $20. And then it became like uncool to donate less money, and you felt like worse about your donation if it wasn't living up to this standard. And this is like a very large amount of money to donate relative to the situation, right? $20 is a lot of money in general to just give away, but it's a lot of money to give away to a street performer. I would bet most people watching this have never given $20 to a street performer. Most people that are like seeing someone, playing the violin or the cello in a subway, they might give $1 or $2 or some change. Or a street performer that you watch for 10 minutes, you might give $2, $3, $5, maybe $10, but $20 is like, I wouldn't expect that to be the average donation, but this became average, and they started to like highlight this and make people sort of feel bad for not donating this amount. Okay, so this went on, and now like I was starting to get a little bit like, this is kind of annoying. They're not really being appropriate. Then they did another couple things which really went down the line. They started to be like picking on the people that didn't donate because those people were watching a free show and they wanted to stay to the finale, but then they weren't donating money to get there. So they like sort of put this peer pressure on them and made them feel inadequate for just not donating at all. And so some of these people were leaving, and they kind of encouraged people to leave that weren't donating. So it became this like this separate circle of like us versus them. Like, we're the people that donate and we're the people that don't, right? Whereas they're performing a street show. And they should like, you know, they should understand that people are just, that they're not going to like convert 100% of people to donate money. So they made them feel bad, right? And these are like your potential customers. These are people that are going to walk out and say like, oh, these guys are amazing, or these guys aren't. And I understand that for a street show, they might not have like a brand name that they can like lose value from, but still, right? Like, their reputation is important, and like the customer service experience is what should prevail over anything. Then they did this final thing. And now I'm staying to the point where this has gone on for like literally 10 minutes, right? So this is like an absurd amount of time to wait between, you know, a performance for donations, right? Because they're like asking for your time to wait while you see, you know, building up anticipation for this final event. So now the anticipation for this final event has like built so much because the amount of time we're waiting and because the amount of money that people are giving and like their whole like approach to doing this, that I'm expecting some like epic finale, right? So then they do this thing where they are like, okay, wait, there's one more thing that hasn't happened. We haven't asked the people in the middle about their donations yet, right? So the 20 like white guys that were standing there didn't donate. And so they asked each of them to come up to where they were standing and what their donation was going to be. So they like now were putting them under the spotlight so that they could not donate autonomously. And they did this after they had highlighted everyone that donated $20. And sure enough, I'd say there was 20 guys standing there. I'd say like 15 of them donated $20. And we waited as they called these people up one by one. So this took like another 10 minutes. And the people that didn't donate $20, they had them like go to the back of the line, or they actually left this line altogether, and they like wouldn't be part of this finale stunt. So now they're using like this really cheap sort of peer pressure to like con people into donating this amount of money, because there is no way that just statistically it's impossible that if you have 20 people, 15 would donate $20 anonymously. They would just never do that. But we are, you know, we want to fit in, we want to feel good, we don't want to be like embarrassed in front of a lot of people. I mean, there's 100 people watching, and like $20 became just the normal donation. So now these people probably feel like, oh, if I don't donate $20, I'm a cheap ass, whatever. So that was just like, to me, that was just absurd. So now I'm staying watching this thing, not because I really care about the finale, but because I'm just so curious about like their approach towards getting an absurd amount of money donated to them during this event. Like, they must have made more than any other street performer I've ever seen in my entire life. There is no way that another street performance makes this much money. These guys were absolute professionals. They've clearly done this a lot of times. And from a monetary standpoint, you have to give them credit. It's just their antics that I have that are a little bit questionable here. So then they do this thing where now we're expecting like, okay, finally they raised $1,000. Great. They're okay, everything's good. So now I'm expecting, okay, there's 15 white guys left that are standing there. Oh yeah, by the way, so they made it feel like this could have just been my read, but it felt to me like they specifically picked out these people because they looked like they would donate the most, right? So they picked out these 15, 20 white guys that they wanted to like ask for. They knew they were going to ask for individual donations from them, so they didn't pick out like the backpacker or like a teenager or whatever. These were all like fitting a profile of what you would expect someone that looked like they had money to donate would donate, so that they could get the biggest like money. So this was like this just like completely put me off. I was like, this is absurd. What is going on? It was very obvious to me what was happening. Then they start like saying, oh well, you're too tall, or you're too short, or you're this and that. And so they are eliminating these 15 people after they did the donation down to like 5. And they like use all these like entertaining, crafty ways to do that. So instead of 20 people standing in a line, it's now 5 people. And you're saying like, oh, okay, well, that's not that cool. I thought they were going to like jump over 20 people. And you're wondering the whole time like, oh, I'm donating money, but how are they going to do this? How are they going to pull this off? There's 20 people standing in a line. Are they going to fly? Are they going to use strings? Like, what's going to happen? And now suddenly there's 5 people standing, and it's like the shortest 5 people, and you're like, okay, well, that kind of a little bit of buzzkill. Then they do this thing at the end where they have them all bend over because they're like, you guys are too tall, so everyone bend in half. So they have everyone bend in half, and like some of the guys are like older, right, and they like can't bend over, like they're like telling them to like touch their hands to the floor like a freaking yoga pose. And so they're like pushing their backs down so that they're not as high, right? And then at the end, one of the guys jumps over these 4 or 5 guys, and it's cool. He does this like little jump, and he jumps over all of them, and it's like, cool. Show's over. And so I'm sitting there like, wow, like this was it, right? Like this was all that happened. And the feeling I had was like, it totally wasn't worth my time or the donation. And that's the feeling that I left with. Whereas so there's 2 key takeaways here. The first is that we are definitely products of the circumstance that we're in. And we want to fit in, right? Like we value the opinion of other people. And so people behave in a way that they want to fit in, and they want to act in a way that's appropriate to the group that they're in. And that was demonstrated here very clearly. There is absolutely no way that autonomously, I think more than 1 out of 20, 1 out of 50 people would donate an amount as high as $20 to a street performance show. But here this became the norm, and it became the norm because they leveraged this idea of peer pressure and people wanting to fit in, and they leveraged people's feelings of significance and importance, and also like their sort of fear of judgment from other people. And they did it in a way that was I felt like not really appropriate, but they still did it very effectively. But this same tactic can be used to influence behavior in a positive way, right? We don't have to do this in a way that's manipulative, but you can do it in a way that's channeled in a positive way. So for example, if you want to lose weight, you can have this like not necessarily judgment, but like this social circle where like you guys do like a meetup every week, and like everyone is incentivized to lose weight, and there's like a pool of money, and everyone like if you gain weight you have to pay $1, and if you don't you're going to win the pool or whatever it is. And so like this can influence behavior in a positive way because you don't want to be ridiculed by your friends, then you don't want them to make fun of you for gaining weight, and you also want the praise that they're going to give you if you lose weight, or you want to win the competition, right? So this is a very simple way we can use this same tactic they use to influence behavior in a positive way. The second takeaway here is anytime you're doing marketing or selling a product or service, you really want to make sure you're over delivering and under promising, right? Because the most important thing when building like a brand or a product or service is what people that buy your product are saying about you. And you want them to love the experience that they have. That's the long-term equity of building a brand. And that's worth more than any of the amount of immediate sales you're going to get from a short-term gain that happened in this situation. And again, I understand they don't have a brand and this might not affect them, but if this was like a show and this was like a brand or a product and they used this tactic in like an online webinar or something like that, it would reflect very badly. And then you're going to have people saying bad things about your brand and your business for the sake of getting a quick sale. And that's never worth that trade-off. So the currency that you want to focus on, in my opinion, in situations like these is what is the customer's experience? What are they saying? You're going to have a situation like this where you're going to have a lot of people leaving this show and assume this was a brand. They're going to say, oh, it wasn't really worth it. Don't go see that show. It's not really good. They might not be, they might not have reflected as deeply as we're doing in this video on why. They might just feel like I donated $20, but it wasn't worth $20. They might not even say that they donated $20 because they might even be embarrassed about that. They might even not say that. They might just be like, it wasn't that good. Even if they have all these other deeper feelings, maybe they're resentful of the fact they donated $20, who knows? But they're just going to leave with a negative feeling, and they're going to express that to other people. And this is going to reflect very badly on the brand or the company or the business at stake. So I think the key here is just always over delivering and under promising, because then people leave with a feeling of that everything was worth it and they want more of your products. And this is especially true if you have like an introductory product. Right, so one of the things we have at Conscious Poker is we have an $8 product. Or with any of the products that we come out with, I always try to think to myself, is this worth twice what someone is paying for it? because that's what I want. I want to promise something and offer a price, and then I want that product to be worth twice what they paid for it, because then they're going to leave saying, oh my God, this was totally worth it. You have to buy this, right? That's how I feel about my iPhone. That's how I feel about certain products that I buy, that I love, that I enjoy. I'm like, you have to buy this. And that enthusiasm that people have when they talk about a product is the currency that you're trying to get as a business or brand. So I hope this video resonated with you. I hope you took something from it. I'd love to hear your thoughts in a comment below. Definitely leave them. I'd appreciate that. Subscribe to my channel, turn on notifications, because more awesome content's coming your way, and I'll see you guys next time. Cheers.